Ann Coulter is on the line with me right now, conservative commentator, best-selling author. Her newest book, Adios, America, The Left's Plan to Turn Our Country into a Third World Hellhole. That'll get your attention reading that title. Hello, Ann Coulter.
Hello, John Gambling.
How are you, my friend? We haven't spoken in a very long time.
Well, it's good to talk to you again.
It is indeed. Tell me about your reaction to the Chris Matthews thing. I think Chris Matthews is ridiculous in the hypothetical and the browbeating.
Yes, browbeating is exactly the right word. I think at this point Donald Trump could say it's a nice day out, and the media and certain conservatives would explode in rage and say it's an outrage. It is not a nice day. How can this man be president? He's a Kardashian. It's madness. I mean, I watched the full interview, and it's exactly, and I do recommend that to all of your listeners, no matter what the issue is, this alleged battery by Corey Lewandowski. Please look at the video. Their shoulders may have brushed, but
it's ridiculous. We talked about this yesterday. The arrest of this guy is a sham, and it's ridiculous.
Yes, and I do two things. One, I totally recommend whenever you hear something about Donald Trump, do not believe it, go to the tape. Oh, including my own tape of a 60-second interview with Milo Yiannopoulos, Milo, at Breitbart, which is just being hysterically reported. Go to the tape. The other thing is this prosecutor's office. Sorry, I know you covered this yesterday. I'll get back to abortion quickly. This prosecutor's office, remember, this is the exact same office that spent 3 years investigating Rush Limbaugh for back pain pills. But when the Palm Beach police presented them with a fully developed case, 15 affidavits, including descriptions of the 14-year-old girls and dildos in the sink. I'm sorry, maybe you can't say that, but that happens to be the evidence. Refused to punish a pederast living in Palm Beach. They had spent 6 months, the Palm Beach police, but this same prosecutor's office. So let me just say, this is an utterly corrupt prosecutor's office. The shocking thing is, John, I feel like it's invasion of the body snatchers where some of our own people, conservatives, are playing these liberal games. I feel like I'm dealing with the Clinton team. Anything Trump does, it's an outrage. Anything anyone else does, oh, isn't he presidential? Isn't it magnificent? I mean, the double standards here, I don't know what they're thinking here. And on the
Annie, you do know exactly what their thinking is, because they are so afraid, and they are so taken by the energy that Donald Trump has manifested, and they see the handwriting on the wall that if Donald Trump gets to the place he wants to, they are going to get to a place they don't want to.
Yes, they may have to pay for American workers. No, the uniformity of the attack on Trump's, I must say, I think the main thing is the immigration position. It is absolute hysteria. But if you watch, and maybe you've been playing it for your listeners, you got to hear the browbeating by Chris Matthews about an utterly irrelevant point. The left really thinks all the president does is sit around all day developing abortion policy. Trump has serious policies about serious issues when the country is in a lot of trouble, and they absolutely don't want to talk about that. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what exactly will the penalty be here. And Trump was terrific. I mean, he basically refused to answer but said, well, yeah, if it's against the law, there's got to be some penalty. And what I loved about him, which very few other, conservatives, much less presidential candidates, would have done, was Trump's brilliant way of turning it right back on Chris Matthews. Well, what do you think, Chris? You're a Catholic. Do you agree with the church's teaching on this? And oh boy, did Matthews get upset about that.
Exactly. So I want to talk to you, your latest book, Adios, America. I want to talk about the immigration policy, because I think that your concept, your premise in the book of the left's plan to turn our country into a third world hellhole, we need to look to validate your thinking is Europe and their open borders and what has happened over there, the fact that they don't talk to each other about terrorism and information. I mean, that's where America is rapidly heading.
Yes, it is. Look to America. Look to, I'm calling you from L.A., look to Southern California for your future. This is not anti-immigrant. I don't know why that's the first argument I make, but I will, because that's what Trump is being attacked for. Immigrants went to a lot of trouble to get to this country. Ask them what they think. There's a reason Trump won twice the Hispanic vote of either Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio in a place like Nevada. They wanted to live in America. I want to live in America. You, John, want to live in America. It's the plutocrats, the employers, and the Democrats. The Democrats get the votes, the Republicans get the campaign money, and the plutocrats get the cheap labor. It is all the power centers of America united against Americans, and I mean all Americans who live here. That is why Donald Trump has hit a chord, and it is all of the power centers united to take him down.
And you're a maven of the media, obviously, as I am, and I think that what we find ourselves collectively in is the vortex of communication, instant communication, where the future. There's almost a wall that prevents you from even thinking about it. It's all about the present, and that's all everybody thinks about. It's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
How does it affect me?
Yes, you're right. I mean, this is the one thing that worries me about Wisconsin, and has, long before the total war on Donald Trump this week. And that is Wisconsin, other than a few counties where they have the Hmong. There was that Hmong immigrant who shot and murdered 6 hunters when the Hmong was trespassing on their property a few years ago. So they do have some Hmong in Wisconsin, but by and large, Wisconsin has been untouched by immigration. And judging by at least this one poll, it looks like Wisconsinites are just going to behave the way the Washington consultants do and the plutocrats do. To hell with the rest of the country. I'm doing fine.
Yeah. Okay. If Trump loses there, what's your thought?
Oh, I don't think it makes much of a difference. It's not that big a state. Trump, I do feel contrarily quite confident that Trump will win New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, California. Unfortunately, I suppose, because we're going to have to hear, gloating for 2 weeks, if it even happens. But Wisconsin is a tough state because, the dairy farmers want their cheap labor. Did you see that, by the way, at the town hall on CNN? I guess it was Monday night.
I did not. No, tell me.
Well, they had questions from the audience. And, oh, my gosh, the employers are just utterly unabashed. They stood up for at least, I don't know, I didn't see Cruz's, but at least for Trump and Kasich. Some dairy farmer owner, let me say, not a worker, standing up and saying, well, we just can't get Americans to do these jobs, and we need more immigrant labor here. Well, point one, mechanize, because your cheap labor isn't cheap for the taxpayers. They're subsidizing that cheap labor with schools, with hospitals, with roads, with the crime that's being brought in, and changing the culture and the nature of our country. But they're utterly unabashed about it. We want cheap labor.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
Mechanize, point one, or point two, raise your wages.
Well, they don't want to do that because it will cut into their profits. They think. I don't think that that's really the case. But the continuing question about Americans not taking those jobs, I find that hard to believe sometimes. I don't buy that argument too much.
No, and it might cut into your profits as long as your competitors are hiring the cheap labor. But that's a point that Trump has made in these debates over and over again. He says, look, I'm going to play by the rules that exist. For the hats, for example, he came under attack because the Make America Great Again hats are apparently made in China. And he said, look, I looked around for an American manufacturer. We couldn't find one. It's been driven out. That's why I want to run for president and change the rules. If all dairy farmers are not don't have access to cheap foreign labor, they are going to have to either mechanize or raise their wages, or probably some combination of both.
All right. Well, this story is not even in the middle at the moment. We got a long way to go on this. Ann, great to talk with you again. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you, John. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ann Coulter, ladies and gentlemen.